Hello everyone, this is the video on Assisted Reproductive Technologies chapter number 4. We have already done with the introduction, with the contraceptives and the sexually transmitted diseases or the STDs. So if you have not watched the videos yet, please do watch them. Now Assisted Reproductive Technologies, as the name is itself making a sense that they would be doing the assistance. Now when is this assistant required? This assistance is required when the couples, they are not able to produce the children by normal fertilization. The problem could be in the female partner or it could be in the male partner. So herein we would be talking about different types of ARTs. Now before we start with each method, let's understand first what is in vivo fertilization and in vitro fertilization. In vivo fertilization is the normal fertilization, means when the female gets pregnant normally, as it was described in chapter number 3, we use a term for it, that is in vivo. But when the fertilization happens in a test tube, that means the female gamete and the male gamete, they are allowed to fuse artificially in appropriate conditions in a test tube. This is known as in vitro fertilization. So we are starting with the first ART, that is named as Zygote Intra Fallopian Transfer, abbreviated as ZIFT. Now, as I just said, in vitro fertilization, the fertilization is done in a test tube. Now, the female gamete could be from the mother, would be mother, or it can come from the donor. Same can happen with the male. If the male, they have their normal gametes in their body, then they will give the gametes. If they are not able to produce the gametes, then they can take from donor as well. Now female and male gametes, they are fused together in a specific medium, and this happens in specific conditions. This leads to the formation of zygote. That means fertilization happens in the tube. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon for the recent updates. Leads to the occurrence of zygote. Zygote is again diploid structure. It would be unicellular, means only one cell structure will be there. When zygote will divide, of course the cells will be formed and each cell will be known as blastomere. So zygote, it divides by the process of mitosis, and the cells which are formed here, these are known as blastomeres. So here you can see that 8-celled embryo has been formed. Now when this 8-celled embryo is inserted with the help of syringe in the fallopian tube of the woman who wants to become mother, this is known as zygote intra-fallopian transfer. Means the zygote would be transferred in the fallopian tube. Right? So this is the first one. The second type of ART is intra-uterine transfer. In this method also IVF will be done. Means in vitro fertilization will be done. And this will lead to the formation of a zygote. Zygote will divide to form the embryo. We have seen in ZIFT that embryo was transferred in the 8-cell stage. Now if the embryo goes into divisions and more than 8 cells are formed, so if the transfer is done beyond 8-cell stage, the name of ART changes. It becomes intrauterine transfer. Means in this case, the embryo will contain more than 8 cells and it will be transferred to the uterus position of the female who wants to become mother. You can see here that I have made the embryo and it contains more than 8 cells in it. The next ART is gamete intra-fallopian transfer, abbreviated as GIFT. The name is again making a sense that gamete would be transferred inside the fallopian tube. Sometimes the female partner is unable to produce a secondary oocyte. In this case, the gametes are flushed in from outside, means a donor donates the gamete and they are inserted in the fallopian tube. But that female into which this insertion is being done can nurture the growing embryo in her uterus because uterus is functioning normally. So overall, in this method, gametes are flushed in from outside, but the desired female, she has normal uterus. The whole complete gestation period will be done in that lady who has taken the insertion of the gamete. The next ART is intracytoplasmic spermic injection, abbreviated as ICSI. Sometimes what happens is that sperm count is less in the male partner. So female gametes are also taken out and sperm collection is also being done. And the cytoplasm from the sperm is taken. And this cytoplasm is directly inserted in the female gamete, which leads to the formation of zygote, and this zygote can be transferred inside into the female reproductive tract. Sometimes the male partner, they are not able to produce the high number of sperms. So in this case, sperms are collected at periodic intervals, and once their number goes high, then it is used for the fertilization purposes. So when sperms are collected outside and once enough production has been collected, then the sperms are injected in the uterus. Now once they are injected in the uterus, it means it will lead to normal fertilization. And normal fertilization we have seen in the beginning only that it is known as in vivo fertilization. Please see here in this step number 4, which we have studied, intracytoplasmic spermic injection. In this, the fusion, the formation of the zygote was happening outside. It was happening in vitro conditions. But in intrauterine insemination, the sperms will be injected in the uterus. Because the sperms are motile, they will travel from the uterus in the fallopian tube to the ampulla isthmic junction where fertilization has to happen. So this will result in vivo fertilization. Once zygote will be formed, it will undergo divisions to form morula, then blastula will be formed. Then this blastula will undergo implantation, then gastrulation will happen, and ultimately it will end up in organogenesis. Before we sum up this chapter, there is an important question. Sometimes differences between IUT and IUI comes. So we have just seen that IUT means intrauterine transfer and IUI means intrauterine insemination. So let's see once again what is exactly in them. What do they exactly mean? So intrauterine transfer means when embryo is more than 8 cells. Then when transfer is done in the uterus of the desired female who wants to become mother, then it is known as intrauterine transfer. Whereas IUI means intrauterine insemination. It is generally done when the male partner produces less number of sperms. So at continuous intervals, sperms are collected, and once enough collection has been done, Then sperms are injected in the female uterus. From uterus, the sperms, because of their motility, they reach the fallopian tube, they reach at the right junction for the fertilization, and this will result in vivo fertilization. So in case of IUI, in vivo fertilization happens, whereas in IUT, it is in vitro fertilization. In vitro fertilization happens outside the body in the artificial conditions, whereas in vivo fertilization is the normal fertilization that happens in the human female reproductive tract. So I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for more videos.